It is.
And we'll start this workshop session, and I would ask the clerk to please call roll.
Cook. Here. Hopkins. Here. O'Neill.
Here.
Aaron Scott. Here. Bill Scott.
Here.
Wampel. Here. Wormouth. Here. Williams. Here. Mayor Esmond.
Here.
City Attorney here.
Okay, first item is the introduction of the appointments of the aldermen. We have with us tonight our two new aldermen to be, but you're sitting on the table. We have Karen Mudd, who's replacing Marcy. We have Mike Bartlett, who's replacing Travis. I don't know if you wanna, I've known Karen since we went to high school together, so she's financial. That's her background. She works for, well, you can talk about yourself.
I work for Drew Lombardo. I have for 22 years, 25 years, somewhere in there. Born and raised in Jacksonville, so I've been in Jacksonville my whole life. I have two children that go to our Savior School, 6th grade and 1st grade.
Awesome. And then we have Mr. Mike Bartlett. Mike?
Taught school for 12 years, Bluffton, Triopia, and worked for Department of Corrections for 15, and then worked for the Illinois Association of School Boards for 12 years before I retired 5 years ago. Nancy and I moved from Bluffs to Jacksonville and bought a house on Prospect Street in 1979 in Ward 3, and we still live there. So we had 2 older daughters and 5 grandkids that
It keeps you
we
busy.
chase around.
Yes, well, thanks, welcome aboard, and we'll have in there in a few minutes, we'll have your swearing in, so we look forward to working with you. Yeah. Committee reports tonight, Parks and Lakes. Alderman Large Oldham.
Sure, we have one item, discuss renewal of agreement with the Jacksonville Area Sports Arena for use of the roller hockey rink.
And what that is, we have a contract with them, and it's got a 5-year extension automatic with a letter from them, and we received the letter last week that they'd like to renew it for another 5 years. So we can have a 5-year extension on the roller hockey rink.
Everything remain the same?
Okay.
Thank you, Skip.
Planning and Public Works, Alderman Bill Scott.
We have one item tonight, we'll discuss TIF applications, and I hope Kelly helps me out on that.
Yes, he will.
No problem, man. Got you covered. I'd like to start with a little bit of an explanation about TIF programs for our newcomers. What TIF actually is, it's tax increment financing. And it's a state program that communities can be involved in that involves a certain geographical area. And what happens is a base EAV or equalized assessed value is established at the time that you adopt a TIF. And any improvements in that geographical boundary over a 22 years period of time, the improvements on the property tax go into a special fund. And that special fund is held in escrow, so to speak, for projects only limited to that geographical area. We have one TIF in Jacksonville, and it's the downtown area. It's a couple square blocks around the downtown, but it's a specific geographic area. And anybody that's located in that area, the improvements, remember from the base EAV, any improvements they make and any tax increases go into that fund. Therefore, the owners in that geographical area that pay into that, they can request funds for various projects to their buildings out of that fund. And so the TIF is used to help improve buildings. And as you know, a lot of the buildings downtown are in need of repair and so on. And we've probably done, don't quote me, I didn't bring these statistics, but we have done numerous projects downtown to help the structures already. And it's been a very worthwhile project for the city of Jacksonville, a good program. So that's a little bit about how the TIF works. Anybody located in that boundary can do improvements to their building, substantially enough that it helps increase the tax base. That's the whole idea. That's what keeps the program running. Keep the dollars flowing so anybody can apply for a project, okay? Any quick, that's a cool, real quick, down and dirty version, but do you have any questions I might be able to address? Okay, all right, let's jump right in. We have two projects for us today that I want to propose. The review committee met on August 8th to discuss these projects, and the review committee has come up with these suggestions. Mr. Randy Springer at 220 South Main has, he had some emergency work that was necessary on the back of his building. I don't know if you've noticed over the years, but it's hard to keep up with that much exposed brick. The tuck pointing was falling out. We had loose bricks up in the corner that were actually on the verge of falling, and right next to some of Leo's property, I believe, right, Randy, in that corner. So he was able to contract with a masonry contractor. He got me the bids, we got the application completed and everything, and the review committee suggested with this emergency repair, which is, we can do through the TIF program. The total project cost was $9,750. The review committee recommended 50% of the total project to be funded with a grant. Okay, I'm sorry, $9,750 is the 50%. So the total project cost is 2 times that. And Randy is underway because of the emergency nature of the structure and the fact that the contractor was available. That's tough to get sometimes. So maybe you've seen the work taking place on the back of the building. So Mr. Springer is here. Should you have any questions or anything of him, we appreciate the efforts. And again, this is to help maintain our buildings in the downtown area. Any questions from anyone?
So that's Springer's by Leo's?
Yes,
What's the project going on East State Street, that the alley's been blocked out?
we'll get to that next.
Okay.
Any questions for Randy? He's here tonight to address anything?
Glad you're getting it done. You're right.
Yep, it's a good deal. Okay, thank you. The next project is with Mr. Earl Jackson. This is actually 220 East State Street, and many of you probably noticed the alley is blocked because of falling brick off of his building. Again, this was another emergency repair situation. The total estimated cost of this project is $45,500. In a particular case like this, another project that we had with an emergency repair with an empty building like this is we set up a little different program. What the review committee approved was that Mr. Jackson will receive 25% after completion of the project and payment. Another 25% when the building is occupied, leased, or listed for sale. And the reason for this is the building's been empty for quite some time. We obviously want a business or something in there. We want to help Mr. Jackson with the repairs, but we also need to get the building off dead center. Okay, so this very similar project was used by Mr. Odell Fellhauer when his building was empty. And some of you aldermen that were around will recall we repaired the back side of that building as the wall was giving way there on the back side. It was an exact similar situation that we did the emergency repairs for him. He still gets the 50% grant of the total cost of the repair, but it's broken down into 25% increments. Does that make sense to you, the way we're doing that? We want the building repaired, but we also need it off dead center. We need it leased, we need it listed for sale so somebody else can occupy, or we need something to happen with it. Okay, and I discussed all this with Mr. Jackson and he's fine with that. We have a representative for the family here this evening that can address maybe any questions I might not be able to answer for you. But we have the estimate, and I believe Mr. Jackson's ready to get started on the repairs as soon as possible so we can get the alley back open again.
Listed for sale or when it sells?
It is when it's listed for sale.
So if they listed at like $1 million with no intention to sell it, they still get the 25%?
Well, yes, actually, we did specify, you know, the amount. We don't know his personal interest. We didn't go that far as to say what the building had to be listed for. We just hope that someone, if they get it fixed, someone might come along. If Mr. Jackson's not interested in occupying it, then he'd list it and we'd move the building.
We already had the architect come and draw the plans to put the bar and grill in there. So all the plans are done, it's just money kind of fell off and we didn't occupy the building for a while, so stuff started happening, but everything is in order. I already came once and got the building permit, paid for that, but like I said, we just had our fallback, but now we're ready to get back started.
Okay, your intent will be to keep the building.
Yeah, well, our team is to open up a bar and grill, plus we wanna utilize, it has like a studio. We know a lot of upcoming artists, people out here wants to do music stuff, we just plan on like keeping that too. I mean, the building has a lot of potential, so we're just trying to save it.
Okay, good. Anything else, anyone? Okay, thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you. Any public comment at this time? Dana?
I have one thing,
Yeah.
if somebody else, before you close the meeting. I'd like to just make mention, if any of you haven't been out through Nichols Park, I'd like you to drive by and look at what was once swamp area a couple of years ago. We've turned into the habitat pollinator area, and it's been a huge hit. We have people out there taking pictures and stuff all the time, and it's not really open, so to speak, yet, but the walkway is through the middle, the wooden walkway is complete. We have a small creek, a small stream that'll run through it, that zigzags through the habitat area. We're completing that now. We'll drop the pump in and make sure everything works, but we're getting too late in the season to hook it up permanently. So next spring, when everything comes back up again, we'll be shredding it here before long. So it'll look terrible before long, but that's what you have to do to let the seedlings disperse, and you have to shred it, and then it'll come back up fuller next year. But if you haven't had a chance, you ought to drive by there. It looks really neat. And so what was once a complete wasteland, we couldn't mow it. It was always wet area, and it always looked terrible, but this has turned into something really pretty neat. It also serves the purpose of the pavilions on the east side. Now they have a way to get directly to the restroom and back. They can utilize the wooden walkway through the habitat area, the pollinator area, and get to the restrooms and back from the pavilions. So we're gonna have, when the signage is complete, we've got educational signage coming for both sides when you enter and exit the area. And it describes a lot of the plants and species and things that are in there, you know, for educational purposes. And then we'll have the stream running, and then we'll do a ribbon cutting out there next spring and really get it open and explain to the public what everything is. But I'd like you to just drive by before we shred it.
Sure.
You know, we're gonna be shredding it before long, but it's really pretty neat.
So that means I have to keep my peacocks in the basement for another year.
One more year, that's all.
One more year.
I took my granddaughter through there, and I was telling her when I was her age that we used to fish actually in there.
Yeah.
And it's really nice because I didn't even realize that was there, but we just happened to be walking, and that walkway was like brand new. And I told Avery, I said, this has to be brand new. I said, smell the wood. It smells like they just got you.
Yeah.
That's really nice. That was really nice touch.
Well, thank you. Yeah, the walkway's only been done about a month, and it'll really be nice when we get the stream going, and it just draws out of the lake and replenishes right back in. So, you know, it's a very natural setup. Plus, the rains all converge right in that area when we get a lot of rain, and it'll direct that water right down into the lake through the stream itself. So it serves twofold. It picks up the water from the surrounding area as well. So we're very happy with the turnout so far. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Kelly. Any questions?
I'm sorry, I wasn't here last week, I got here at 7:25, and you guys were done already. But, I wanted to come to that meeting to ask about the water for the fire hydrants. I know that Jack sent out an email pertaining to the park on the east side of town, but the question I had at that one meeting was, what about the mobile home park on the north side of Jacksonville and other areas that are in private property?
The brief discussion I had with Jack is that they're putting them on a schedule to go out and check all of those as well. Along with most of the hydrants that they check on private property are not those trailer parks, but rather they're industries with hydrants on them.
Okay.
But I'll follow up with Jack and get something back out to you.
Because, so if there's a fire tomorrow in North, is it Northbridge? We don't know for sure the fire hydrant's gonna work right now.
I don't know for sure.
So I guess one thing we should look going forward is we should have a stiffer fine if there's a problem. If the private landowners are gonna be maintaining and testing their own fire hydrants, we should have something that has more teeth to it and something that we actually enforce. Because I think there's some aspect with that fire, I guess it was in March. Yeah, that we're lucky that nobody was home, that nobody got hurt, like they said, that we're lucky the fire didn't spread to other houses. And it's probably because a lot of the other trailers have been moved out because they're kind of facing out. So that could have been a really bad situation with that fire hydrant not working. And I'm not trying to go back and say, whose fault is it or whatever, something like that. I'm just trying to say going forward, we need to make sure that we're looking out for people in town.
That's what Jack had discussed, and then we'll follow up with that, get back to you next week.
Okay, well,
And one other thing, did all of you except our two newest members get the Unicode information from Skip? It's a lot of material to work through, but what we need to do, one way or another, is whatever review process we're gonna have, and then go ahead and approve that, always keep in mind that if there's something in there, and there will be, we're gonna have to fine tune and perhaps change by ordinance down the road. But we'd like to move forward on that in the next couple of meetings or so. I'm not at all suggesting that we'll pass it and then read it and find out what's in it, like some other politicians have. But rather, take a look at, if there's any questions you have, give it to me, because we want to get that on the agenda for approval as a whole. And if we have to go back and make some changes, which we undoubtedly will, we'll do that.
Wasn't this like 20 technical changes or something like that? Or what was it?
There was probably, 20 technical changes. There's quite a bit more than that in terms of just replacing some old archaic language, getting rid of some, a lot of the fee structures now, we're just gonna adopt that by resolution, so we don't have to change the ordinance every time a fee schedule changes.
How many pages was the document?
A lot.
I guess I didn't get everything then, I just read the first couple.
You may have read the summary of changes,
Oh, okay.
but attached was the entire Unicode.
Okay, that's what I
Always
was.
Reader's Digest.
It's long.
It's not.
The gentleman that did this, for Municode, Dan and I worked with, basically his job with Municode is to Illinois statutes. So he's well aware, he's rewritten a lot of codifications for other communities in Illinois. So he's very much aware, and knowledgeable of the statutes, therefore making some of our ordinances more in line with the statutes of today. So that we don't have to catch up with them on a month-to-month basis or whatever.
And part of what he's done too in kind of condensing the Unicode is anywhere where we're referring to a state statute and typing out the entire statute in our Unicode, we're now just referencing the state statute. You can go to the state statute and see it that way as well. If the state statute changes in the future, it automatically becomes part of our Unicode, so it saves having those types of updates. So take a look at it, email me or Skip if you have any questions about it, and then we'll look forward to addressing it at that next meeting. So you got 2 weeks to read 1,000 pages, that's not bad.
Oh, I do that.
okay, we'll
Do that on lunch.
That's why we didn't tell Mike.